أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي Selamun Aleyküm ve Rahmetullahi ve Berekatuhu. Inshallah, we will continue with the 20th word. This is the second station of the 20th word, and we are in the part which is titled Introduction. So this part is about the miracles of the prophets and how can we benefit from such narrations in the scriptures. So when a scripture like Quran, which is assumed to be a speech of the everlasting and absolute creator speaking to me here and now, how can I benefit from such historical narrations? And this is also interesting because the author at the very beginning, he's kind of tying the miracles of the prophets to scientific and technological advances. Not that we have to study the text in this context, but this is also interesting, at least to me, how miracles are considered to be in the same category with scientific advances. So last week, I believe we studied the miracle of Solomon with the verse, to Solomon we made the wind obedient. Its early morning stride was a month's journey, and its evening stride was a month's journey. As far as I remember, we studied this verse, and inshallah we will continue with the verse. So we said, strike the rock with your staff, then gushed forth therefrom 12 springs, which is one miracle of Prophet Moses, peace be upon him.
So if anyone would like to volunteer to read, maybe from here or from online.
So we said, strike the rock with your staff, then gushed forth there from 12 springs, which explains a miracle of Moses, peace be upon him. This verse indicates that the treasuries of mercy concealed under the earth may be profited from with simple tools. Even from places hard as rock, the water of life may be attracted with a staff. Thus, through this meaning, the verse says to man, you may find the subtlest effulgence of mercy, the water of life with the staff, in which case, come on, work and find it. And in meaning, Almighty God says through the verse's elusive tongue, oh man, I put in the hand of one of my servants who trusted in me a staff that draws the water of life from wherever he wishes. If you too rely on the laws of my mercy, you may obtain an implement resembling it or close to it. So come on and do so. And one of the most important contributions to man's progress was the creation of an implement that causes water to flow forth from the most of the places it is struck. This verse traces farther goals and limits and ends beyond that, just as the previous verse specified final points far ahead of today's aeroplanes. And for example, I shall heal the blind and the leper, and I shall quicken the dead by God's leave.
Thank you for that very lovely reading. I really enjoyed it. So, I guess before I kind of offer any immediate thoughts, and I feel like I need to reread the paragraph a bit, would anyone like to offer their comments, any takeaways that they had from this text so far? Anyone from here? Okay, then I think we can maybe go through it again, maybe sentence by sentence, and see what it is offering or trying to explain. So let me just take a moment as well. So it seems like, you know, the author in this paragraph is talking about how the image that is offered by the verse, the possibility of it is very much so accessible and attainable to those that seek to understand it in very, it seems to me, very physical terms now and afterwards, and for them to be able to realize the practice of it, if they follow and study the order of creation as they find it. I mean, it seems like, again, just to read Nursi's words again, it says, "And in meaning, Almighty God says through the verse's elusive tongue, O man, I put in the hand of one of my servants who trusted in me a staff that draws the water of life from wherever he wishes. If you too rely on the laws of my mercy," which I understand to be the order of creation as I witness it, as I experience it, "you may obtain an implement resembling it or close to it. So come on and do so." So at least at a very immediate level, it seems to be offering this understanding or interpretation of the verse seems to be alluding to a very practice-based, practical understanding of how something that seems impossible or strange is accessible to those that wish to, implement it or do it. But I guess the question that I'm having is, when I read this, right, as the way I understand the speech of my Creator, the guidance that is offered to me by the Creator, in terms of how it's speaking to me, in terms of my here, my now, my problems, the anxieties that I have, anything that I'm undergoing, that I'm experiencing, I feel that it should offer to me more than just a solution or solution to doing something on a very physical level, such as, I don't know, extracting water from a rock, anything of that sort. It should offer to me guidance to the questions that I feel and experience on a very human level. So I guess just, how, and within the context, I guess, of discussions that have been taking place on these verses, which if anyone wants to summarize or bring up, I would be the foremost beneficiary of that. How are we to understand this, or how are we to make sense of what the author here is offering as an understanding of this ayah? So I've spoken a lot. I'll mute myself, and I'm excited to hear your comments, inshallah.
So I'm just wondering, what is my rock, right? Or what is my staff? So these are my immediate questions.
Yeah, I think those questions frame it. I like the framing of those questions very much. Would anyone here like to say something as well?
Oh, there's one thing that strikes my attention right away, which is the phrase laws of, I cannot pronounce it, sorry, the laws of my mercy. So we used to, we are accustomed to hear things like laws of nature, or natural laws, or laws of physics, laws of X. But here he's saying laws of mercy, laws of sustenance, laws of love, laws of, I don't know, like all the different qualities of the creator. And these are the laws. What we observe are the laws of these qualities, not the laws of nature, not the laws of physics. And when we say like we follow the order and we gain things or we achieve things, I guess back in our mind we still have this understanding. Like when we say order, it sounds as if there's a machine out there, and when I learn how this machine works, I can do things. Like I can build aeroplanes, or I can build how would you say the thing that takes the water out from the ground, the machine that we use today? Sondage, we say in Turkish, but I don't know in English. Anyway, it's like a big pump, right? The thing that people use to get the oil out. So we can build such stuff. But again, like our understanding is we trying to learn the laws or the order of this machinery. It's something not alive, right? Not a lively order. It's just order. Somebody, yes, it was creator who put the order. You created the order, but it's the order itself that I'm interacting right now. I'm interacting with a machine. So this is at least like my understanding as a, let's say, a researcher, but I'm following the order. But here it gives another understanding, another definition of the order. It's the laws of mercy. So yes, make it romantic or so on, but beside that, it also makes it a lively order. That means whatever I'm interacting with a quote-unquote person. I'm interacting with an individual. Because an individual or a lively thing shows mercy, right? When I say laws of mercy, everything changes. It's not a machine anymore. Like it's a fard, another name of the creator, right? Am I right? Correct me. The fard? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm interacting with individual, again, quote unquote. So I think this is really important. Like, besides mercy is being very attractive quality that I'm into, again, makes everything very rich and romantic. But beside that also it adds another dimension, again, that I'm not interacting with a machine or I'm not interacting with the universe. I'm interacting with someone who shows mercy. And the water coming out of the ground is the outcome of this interaction. He loves me, therefore gives me water. Not that, there's some rules, there's some equations, if I follow them, water will come out. Water comes out because he loves me. So I guess this is really important. This really makes everything different.
Yeah, I think I agree, and I think I in terms of myself and my condition, my situation, and my existence as a human being, that seems like the only way to really understand or be able to make sense of not the only way, but a very, I guess, human approach to understanding how this verse is speaking to me. And also, I guess, coming to understand how, so returning to, I guess, Fariha's comment as well, asking the question of what is my rock and what is my staff, and how can I come to experience the gushing of the water, or how does that manifest in my life, in what various ways does that manifest in my life? So yeah, I think that we can more carefully study the meaning imbued in the idea or notion of laws of how it says laws of my mercy, and try to, I guess, expand our understanding of that beyond the, I suppose, mechanic or machine-like understanding that, I especially felt limited to in a very unsatisfactory way. Would anyone else like to say anything at this point? I feel like there was maybe a raise of hand up by someone, I'm not sure who. Okay, well, continue to gather your thoughts, because I'm sure you have a lot of contributions to offer to the discussion. So let me kind of go through this again. So we said, strike the rock with your staff, then gushed forth therefrom 12 springs, which explains a miracle of Moses, peace be upon him. This verse indicates that the treasuries of mercy, again there's an emphasis on mercy here, concealed under the earth may be profited from with simple tools. Even from places hard as rock, the water of life may be attracted with a staff. So, just here, perhaps again I have to pose the question of what I perceive as, what is a rock? A rock is something that is hard, and in this case, something that perhaps conceals or is a doorway to something that will satisfy me, whether that be my physical thirst or something that quenches a very much more existential need that I have, and how that may be extracted with tools that I am able to gather. Anyways, I'll continue. Thus, through this meaning, the verse says to man, you may find the subtlest effulgence of mercy, the water of life with a staff. So I have to ask, what is my staff? In which case, come on, work and find it. And in meaning, Almighty God says through the verse's elusive tongue, O man, I put in the hand of one of my servants who trusted in me. So another question that I'm just going to pose is, in this context, what does it mean to trust one's creator or trust their source of existence? Who trusted in me, a staff that draws the water of life from wherever he wishes. And I think that part just underlined the wherever he wishes. In all facets of my experience, in all of my interactions, in all my experiences, there is a way to draw water, or mercy perhaps. If you too rely on the laws of my mercy, you may obtain an implement resembling it or close to it. So come on and do so. Also, if anyone wants to interrupt me at any point, please don't hesitate. I love being interrupted. And one of the most important contributions to man's progress was the creation of an implement that causes water to flow forth from most of the places it is struck. This verse traces farther goals and limits and ends beyond that, just as the previous verse specified final points far ahead of today's aeroplanes. So I'm just thinking about it. I mean, if there are any questions that any of the online participants or anyone here has. Okay, I think we have a question or comment here. Please go ahead.
So when you were reading, so the last part, and one of the most important contributions to man's progress was the creation of an implement that causes water to flow forth. I guess to give a full justice to this verse, like we should, at least for a second, we should really think about just the water itself, like what it means to us. Instead of having a mechanical understanding of, there are many layers of the verse. I guess one layer which, in our circle at least, we can quickly jump into just how the contrast between the staff, rock, and the water, and make an analysis or a highlight about the causes. how the staff cannot cause the water, or the rock cannot give the water, whatever. But I guess another layer is just the water itself. Like when you think about the water, how it's valuable, how it is valuable in our life, our perception of the water, the mercy in the water itself, the life comes through the water. Our, not only like a starting point of the life is water, also sustenance of the life is still water. So for us, for water is life.
Can you say that sentence over again? The starting points.
The starting point of life is water. Like life comes out of water. Biologically, metaphorically, whatever layer you take, water is always there. In almost every mythology, water is there. And like our daily interaction with the water is one of the most valuable treasury we have. And life starts with water, and also it is sustained through water. So water is life for us. And the mercy in this water, our loving attraction to the water, how much we love water, how much we enjoy water. And then water is coming from rock, or coming under the ground, or coming from mountains. So it's just, coming from everywhere. As if, we are a bath, like a yıkanmak, can you use bath as a verb? Shower. We are showered with the mercy. We are showered with the life, wherever we look. It's so extreme, it's even coming from the skies. Like the mercy is so extreme, the life is given, thrown from the skies. And so I guess when Creator tells me that you can just hit the ground and you will get the water, it's not something that should be taken lightly. It's like, Birkan, I know what you like, and I'm giving it to you. And I'm giving to you from most unexpected places, which has another layer of mercy, that you shouldn't, now going back to causes, you shouldn't attribute this mercy to someone else. So you can rely on me, you should rely on me, and no one else. So mercy within mercy. I guess, like it should be so easy for us, whenever we hear water, whenever we hear that we give you water, we should feel, comfortable. We should feel secure. That my Creator, He's giving me water. What else I can want? He's giving me life, the most precious thing in my, existence. So yeah, I guess we shouldn't forget the value of the life, value of water. So, or the value this water symbolizes. So it's not only, again, like the relationship between drilling and getting the water under the earth, how such scientific advancements helps us, how it contributes to the society and so on. I guess we should start with our personal relationship with the water. What water means to me. Just the water, like you can, of course, read it as metaphorically. Water may mean thousands of things, but to me, personally, when I take it as water, just the water that I drink, it's already too much for me to handle. Just the water.
Yeah, I think it can be said that, as a prerequisite to understanding perhaps the magnitude or significance of the implications of my Creator saying, here's water if you hit the rock, I really have to analyze and introspect upon my personal relationship with water and what it means to me symbolically, literally, in all interactions of my life. Yeah. I think Asim had a comment. Would you like to read your comment, Asim?
Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, just to add to what Berkan was saying when he was describing, the looking at the water, like spring also is a sign of mercy, and I think because of the flowing water, it's like an infinite kind of thing. So that's what I was saying it. Yeah, that's what. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from our online participants who would like to add something? Yeah, go ahead, please, Brother Nurali. Brother Nurali, I think your microphone is on, but we're not hearing you if you're speaking. I don't know if you can hear us, but we're not hearing you. Oh.
While we are waiting for him.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I'm reading the verse. Mercy is interpreting water as mercy. So he is taking as if he's generalizing water as mercy, and from there on he starts talking about treasures of mercy, saying that the verse indicates that the treasuries of mercy concealed under the earth may be profited from with simple tools. So he's not only now saying that this is only for water, but it is in general. There are a lot of treasuries of mercy concealed or hidden under the earth. And again, for the rest of the paragraph, he keeps going back and forth with using a metaphorical language and with a clear language. So I guess just repeating the general theme that we kept repeating for the last couple of weeks. So in this text specifically, I am seeing that there is like a perfect parallelism between the meaning aspect of existence and the material aspect of existence. And in here, this is another example of reading this verse in both ways. This is why he starts with saying that treasuries of mercy can be maybe profited with simple tools. Then he keeps using the sentences like, even from places as hard as rocks, the water of life may be attracted with us stuff. And at the end, he gives the example of this drilling machine with which people extract water. But in between the part that Birkan was attracting our attention to, so, oh man, I put in the hand of mercy of my servant who trusted in me as staff that draws the water of life from wherever he wishes. If you too rely on the laws of my mercy, you may obtain and implement resembling it or close to it. So this part, generally Nursi uses the laws of wisdom when he wants to refer to what we know as law of nature. So if he were to say that, adhere to my laws of wisdom, I would understand from that, for example, adhere to gravity, adhere to whatever. These are the laws of wisdom. Again, he's not saying laws of nature, but this is how the Creator is acting due to his wisdom. But now that he is emphasizing laws of mercy, what does that mean? So this reminds me of, I am in need of something, in desperate need of something. In this metaphoric sentence, I am in the desert and I am in desperate need of water. But it might be that I am in desperate need of mercy of a person. It might be that I am in desperate need of truth in this existence and I find myself to be in darkness. Or, I don't know, maybe some hardship going on in my life and I'm trying to figure out how to get out of this. So, as if this verse is saying that, like, in the desert, what it is other than mercy, that somebody is relying on the mercy of the Creator, saying that in this desert, it is only your mercy which can give us life of water out of this stone. Because apparently we are in the middle of the desert, no water, no nothing. Only He can save us in here. So he just hits the totally unrelated staff to the stone
This is an indication as if knocking the door of mercy. This staff is hitting the stone, but it is merely knocking the door of mercy, saying that, oh, my Creator, I know that this staff is not really going to drill this earth, but with that I am knocking your door, asking for your mercy. So if in the life we find ourselves to be in desperate situation, meaning that I find myself to be lonely, I'm not able to make the right choices, I need to make choices, but apparently none of the choices are taking me anywhere. So in such a, as if I'm waiting for someone to come and show me, okay, go in this direction, or here is the job that you're looking for, here is the security in life that you're looking for. This sort of a fork in life that I am, let's say. In such a time, this verse is saying that adhere to laws of my mercy. So, or rely on my mercy, that you are going to receive what you're looking for from the mercy of your Creator. Because generally what I'm doing is I'm expecting mercy from people. But in here, it, as if it is saying that rely on the mercy of the merciful one. We can, I mean, I'm not very clear how this practically means. It sounded maybe a little bit poetic, but this part might be a little bit more emphasized. If you have any comments about that.
I think that was poetic, but very practical. They're not mutually exclusive.
So practical poem.
Sure, but poetry and practice aren't mutually exclusive or contradictory. Anyways, Brother Nurali, please go ahead. But we still don't hear you if you're speaking.
Anyone else can hear him or her?
Yeah, can anyone else hear him, or is it just us?
We don't.
Wait,
Yes.
okay, so inshallah, as soon as you resolve the technical issue,
Or he can just write.
you can write as well, but we'd be happy both ways, inshallah. Anyone else? Did I see someone else's mic open? Anyone else who'd like to comment? Make my job as moderator easier? Yeah, please go ahead.
Since you were
See,
asking
I'm
her-
in need of mercy. To pull a Brother Burkhan style joke here.
To be at the very end, he talks about aeroplanes. He talks about the planes again. And last week, this week, and weeks before, I personally was kind of reluctant to study these aspects of these miracles, like linking them to planes or railroads before, now drilling machines. Yes, like probably it's because we are more in need of mercy or in need of some meanings, and we hear the stuff like the proof of or trying to prove Quran from scientific discoveries and so on and so forth. Therefore, maybe we are kind of have a resistance to such readings. But I guess there is that, I'm just, I guess, realizing one important aspect, that I have a tendency to look for mercy or to see the hand of Creator in nature. With these, I don't have any problem. I see a beautiful bird, for instance, I directly jump into a conclusion that how beautifully it is created. I see a water gush from somewhere, as a river, as a spring, or just from my tap. I enjoy the water. I say, Alhamdulillah, all praises to the one who created this water. But when it comes to planes, when it comes to drilling machines, the things is not that easy anymore. Because I know that the plane was manufactured by the company Boeing. Or Airbus, yeah. Or the drilling machine is coming from another company, whatever. Some scientists that we hate. Before newcomers, by the way, I'm a scientist, so anyway, that we have this, tendency to ignore, because it's not easy to see the creator there. It's like it's man-made. We even used to, hear things like comparing man-made things versus creator-made things. Like the people, for instance, compare is it cheetah in English still, the animal, like one of the cats? They compare the big cat, the cheetah, with man-made robots, and then say that, whatever you try, you cannot make such fast running the robot. We see that people compare the plants, how they produce energy, and man-made solar cells, and say that the creator is much superior, as if I guess it shows something that we have this hardship to see the laws of mercy when it's not about the nature, when it's about the technology, when it is about scientific advances. We don't even like to talk about them because they somehow harm our belief. But here he says at the very beginning of this introduction, when he was saying that we will study scientific and technological advances of the man because they are not neglected in Quran, but we will study them through miracles of prophets, he said. And there he says, just like these historical narrations points to some miracles, things that you consider as scientific advances, they also point to same kind of miracles. Now, for instance, he says there's no difference between Moses hitting his staff to the rock and you hitting your drilling machine to the ground to get the water. But for some reason, again, it is easy to see the creator in the case of Moses and his staff, but it is hard to see the creator when it comes to drilling machine. I guess he's insisting on making this link, aeroplanes and the Solomon and the obedient winds, drilling machines and the staff of the Moses. I guess his insisting is a valuable insisting. We shouldn't miss it. Whenever I see a drilling machine, right, not water coming from mountains, but a drilling machine, I should have the same emotional attitude and say that, Alhamdulillah. It's even more than water coming from the mountain. There, I only see mercy. When I look at the drilling machine, I see how worthless bunch of animals, humans, may come together, do some actions which are meaningless by themselves, shaking their hands, I don't know, writing something on the paper. When you take them as actions, they don't mean anything at all. They do all these things, and such a wisdom comes out of it. Just like the contrast between the staff, the rock, and the life, the humans who knows nothing, and the drilling machine, the wisdom I see in it, and the mercy coming out of it. So I guess our lack of such an understanding points to something that maybe we should be aware of something lacking in us when it comes to drilling machine. The reason we are reluctant, I'm talking to myself right now, the reason I'm reluctant when reading such a text, when author talks about the aeroplanes, I'm trying to get rid of the aeroplane and just concentrate on the water.
Well,
Thank you for that comment. There's a few things, I guess, on my mind. One, I mean, I guess the reluctance that you mentioned is a reluctance I share, because when I experience something in, in creation, if that be nature, right? Whether that be rivers or mountains or anything, it's done in a way that is very clearly merciful, right? But also in a way in which I can't derive, at least to the extent that I'm aware, any qualities that I feel contradict my expectations. So I see perfect wisdom, perfect mercy, just perfection in it, nothing that makes me uncomfortable. Yet in things that, are so-called man-made or manufactured with the choices of human beings, I see a lot of attributes and qualities, reflections that I do not like, that I despise, that I protest against, right? Where I can see the mercy in perhaps if I try, in a drilling machine, in so much as, human beings are able to construct something like that through, not creating it themselves, but just following an order that is existing. But at the same time, I mean, I can't ignore the results of that or the means of that, which I see as resulting in destruction and, cruelty or hate. And because of these qualities, I don't think that I'm fully, I think it's very human of me to not like that. I can't force myself to say, well, I can despise and hate the choices of conscious beings and the reflections of those choices of conscious beings in terms of what they deprive, what qualities they deprive when they utilize their choices in such a way. And I think it's important that I feel that, because then I'm made aware of that which I actually seek and of that which I desire and want fully met and satisfied. So I think that clash is helpful, is necessary for me to be able to understand that which I lack and see lacking, and for me to feel the need for absolute knowledge and wisdom and, all these beautiful qualities that we talk about. So, I don't think that's necessarily against anything that maybe perhaps the point that you were trying to make, but I think that's also a general sentiment that arises from a comment like that, at least from me.
When you were talking about distractions, the first thing came to my mind is like a volcano eruption, which recently, I guess, killed a few hundred people maybe, or so anyway, or like a tsunami.
Okay.
So if you want to see destruction, you can see it everywhere, man-made or not, whatever man-made means. So destruction is always there. If you want to see the beauty, you can even see the beauty in the atomic bomb, the way it explodes. And so I guess, yes, I totally agree. Like whenever you see destruction, you don't like it. This is what we are.
The intentions of the source of that destruction, I think, paint that destruction with the destructive quality as much as the destruction itself. And I think in terms of at least the conscious human beings that I interact with, that intention is made much more manifest and clear to me.
So I guess
in a way that makes me be able to very much dislike it.
Maybe I'm just like thinking, because this is the first time I'm articulating these ideas. But so he says laws of mercy. So when we look from the perspective of searching for laws of mercy, this is what we are interacting with, the merciful one. But when it comes to a drilling machine, we're not looking for, or we're not searching for, or we're not thinking that we are interacting with the laws of mercy. There, we're interacting with laws of mechanics, laws of physics, and laws of, as you were pointing out, the sociology, laws of economics.
Mm-hmm.
And when we try to see the action in these terms, like it is these human beings killing other people or destroying things, for seeking money, for seeking whatever. When we try to read the events with such a language, I guess we necessarily end up with this destruction. We necessarily end up with this dislike. When it comes to nature, we do not utilize such a language. We don't see laws of economics there. We don't see laws of sociology there, unless you are studying insects to understand the social nature of the humans. So what I'm trying to say, yes, you are totally right. Like there's aspect of thing, like an aspect of the topic, which looks at the lack of qualities or the distractions when it comes to men. I totally agree. But I also still insisting that one reason we don't like talking about these, the aeroplanes, drilling machines, and so on and so forth, because even when we claim that we will analyze them from a belief perspective, we still using a language of physics, of mechanics, of economy, of sociology. We still continue using this language.
Okay. I'm just trying to, I guess, like further understand the point. Sure, but can it be said, and I'll just say this and mute myself. Can it be said that, was it belief perspective you were saying? So, I mean, can I isolate or separate my belief perspective from matters of whatever sociology and whatever I experience? Because, in terms of what they make me feel, and I feel like in these belief matters, we're very much involved with this makes me feel this way and that way, and what does this feeling point, and what does this, emotion point to? They can't be separated. I mean, they're so interlinked in that regardless of whatever sociological event or whatever, the point is there's a reality there in terms of what is making me feel and react as a human being. And that in itself is the very crux, as I understand it, of belief matters. So I just think that can't be as neatly separated, perhaps, and maybe needs to be taken into account. But I think that, it's my limitations in trying to understand what you're saying, is that in those situations, I think I do, at least personally, need to kind of work perhaps beyond seeing things as just, again, laws of physics and whatnots, and see how a law of mercy is able to be manifested there. But I still think my previous point holds about the fact that, it's not just mercy, that I may see manifestations of mercy, but then I see other qualities which still connect me somehow to the source of those feelings. I'm not going to give you a chance to reply. Let me just ask the online people first, because they haven't talked much. Anyone here would like to say something here, as in the virtual web?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Alhamdulillah. I tried to fix the issue. And first of all, I want to go ahead for the laws of mercy that brother he explained that. My understanding, laws of mercy comes from the easiness of to find the truth and haqq. And Allah, when He created us, that makes also easy for us to find the truth. I mean, literally speaking, maybe about the physics of rules. I mean, if you follow some rules and physics, you may find you can reach the point that you want. This is the kind of easiness part of the kind of the scene or the earth side, but also in terms of the truth, that is not difficult to find the truth. These basic, simple tools, you just put on the rock and then water just comes out. I consider that is water is like a fact, a truth, haqiqat, and the tools is wisdom, as brother mentioned that, and knowledge. I was just thinking that today's, how can we find these tools? That is the one question. Then the second question is, this rock now is getting thicker. That means that we redefine the words, we redefine redefine the truths in our daily life. That is make it difficult. You're talking about the economy, physics, the rules of physics. That who define these rules? That he put his or her weaknesses and strengths in it. If Allah defined, he defined very easy, like we mentioned that it's easy to find the water. But if human being defines something, he or she put the weaknesses and strength in it. That's why we have difficulties right now to find the truth, because of perception and coding. And maybe we need to recoding in our mind what's the definition of risk or haq or haqiqat and wisdom and all the other the terms that we are going to use it to find the truth. Let's say this is the all of us that we are experienced in our daily life. We never see the stars when we live in cities because of the lights. A lot of noises. We cannot hear the voice of birds, and we cannot hear other beautiful things that Allah created that makes us to find the truth. All lights in city life, urban life, lights and noises and pollutions that prevent us to find the truth. That pollutions is like the increase the thickness of that rocks. This is why we cannot find the truth. In order to get rid of this city life, you should go to the huge field, mountain, to find the truth. That's why the one question, how can we find it? The tools. Second, how can we decrease the thickness of that rock? Maybe they go back to the nature, and which means the truth. And another thing I have to mention that maybe I don't want to go too much subjects. Even prophets that beloved the creation of Allah, they follow the same rule like other human beings to find the truth. Even Allah asked them to do, let's say Allah asked Maryam to shake the trees to get the dates. The rules, it's applied very equally, everybody, and Allah makes it very easy. But as a human being, we redefine the things that we make it difficult. I don't want to go further. Maybe somebody else who wants to talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Do we have any further comments? I think Brother Yusuf had something to say.
I was thinking about what can we identify a few rules of mercy. So I first wanted to start from what we know as law of wisdom. So let's say knife. The cutting edge of knife needs to be sharp. This is a law. And if you apply force, this sharp edge is going to cut through an object. So by making use of this law, we are slaughtering animals, we are cutting meat, whatever. So there's a wisdom.
No vegetables.
No vegetables. Vegetables we just. So this small surface, if applied force, let's say, is separating a larger surface. And by benefiting this law, we are using it for some other purposes. So what is it that we would call, I mean, this is a law of wisdom. But what is law of mercy? So
one thing, so the law of the knife, that's the law of wisdom? Was that what you're saying? I feel like
sharp edge, making use of utilizing this law, let me call it, we would otherwise call it physical law.
Right, okay.
If we tie it back to, as it is pointing to the creator, we will call it law of wisdom.
Oh, yeah.
But just since this is something that we keep using, and of course we need to talk more how to translate physical laws into laws of wisdom, but this is another issue. let's take it for granted for now. But what would be law of mercy? What is it? That there is a way that I can benefit or obtain mercy using a certain pattern, and that I'm going to call it law of mercy. So this reminded me of my attitude when I am studying universe. So especially I think about the sciences. When we study sciences, we approach to the existence very indifferent, very detached. There is no emotional relation between us and the existence. It is very much technical, very much mechanical. There is no emotional relation being engaged in there. And this even applies when sometimes we study truth, as Brother Nur Ali was saying, or when we study, I'm going to use a technical term here. If you compare the kalam of Islam, like the Islamic theology that is trying to prove the existence of God, you will find that it is, again, a little bit detached. Not much emotional relationship, like because it's more like Islamic philosophy. You're trying to analyze the existence into its bits and pieces, being detached, because as a philosopher you need to take yourself, abstract yourself out of the scene, and you're trying to analyze it as such. But then it becomes really dry as rock. So in such a case, but you are in need of experiencing the mercy, you are in need of water. So this means I am in need of interacting with this emotional relation with it. This mercy aspect needs to appear to me so that I'm going to interact with it. The reason that I'm raising this up is, so far when we are having discussions with people, what I realized is, to some people, I was just trying to be quote-unquote impartial, meaning that with this person, he is coming from the science background, and I'm going to speak very technical, like, because the truth is so out there, 2 + 2 = 4. I can prove to this person that God exists by showing it as if it is 2 + 2 = 4. This technical way of explaining, which I am forcing myself to do so, by the way, because of our training and the university, whatever.
Expectations.
Yeah, the expectation or the expectation that I assume this person would have, then I go with this very dry way of trying to explain things. And I am receiving a response as if I am hitting a rock. It's responding like a rock. So it's being hard. And it gives this, not the sound of water gushing forth. It is like you are hitting the rock, truly. But once you start talking about, let's say, observing the beauty or the mercy that is being manifest in water or a flower, then you start seeing, even in your own heart or even in the heart of a person, this is what really brings water out of this stone-like heart. Because humans are really fragile creatures. Humans are not like rock in their creation. Even if there is a rock that is surrounding the heart at some point, each human has a human aspect, I would say, which at least shows itself when this rock-hard person sees a baby, or when this rock-hard person sees death. These are really the things that really explode the rock. So I guess this mercy aspect is needed to be observed or explored in the creation in order to extract the water out of this rock. Otherwise, as Fariha was initially asking, what is rock? And as we were discussing in the previous section, this rock is my heart really, or the heart of another person, and I'm trying to communicate the truth with this person, but I'm not trying to address this person or my heart with the manifestations of mercy in their existence. Instead, I'm trying to be very much dry and technical, quote-unquote scientific, to prove the existence of the Creator or nearness of the Creator. And I guess we might read this as it is calling us to look at this mercy aspect of it, use the laws of mercy, meaning that using laws of mercy, I guess everybody knows, every child knows how to utilize laws of mercy in order to make the mother cook the type of chocolate or chocolate cake that they want. This child is truly making use of laws of mercy because mother has a like a knob, and the child is turning this knob into make me chocolate cake, and the mother cannot help but makes the chocolate. It's a law. It's a law of mercy. So we should make use of this knob in our heart, to adjust it to see the mercy, because otherwise the universe is very harsh against us. If I would like to receive mercy that is being manifest to me, then I mean, instead of when I look at clouds that are pouring rain, I might feel like, heck it, another dark day. Or I might see it as you were saying, life is pouring down, mercy is pouring down. So I need to turn the knob in my heart to this mercy frequency so that I'm going to start observing the mercy in the existence.
If you don't mind, I want to repeat what Yusuf just said. It's really important. It's a call. When the author says laws of mercy, I guess it's a call for us. Look at the universe from this perspective. Try to discover laws of mercy. Try to explain what you observe in terms of mercy. Otherwise, when he says laws of mercy or laws of wisdom or laws of sustenance, we shouldn't think that, oh yeah, I will take one law from the physics textbook, laws of gravity, and call it as law of wisdom. I will take another law from another textbook and just change the name. No, he says, look at the universe from the belief perspective, which means discover how things in action through laws of mercy. See the mercy, everything you look. Discover them. Be the first, discover the, what's the word for discoverer? No.
Explorer.
Explorer. Be the first woman or man who discovers the laws of mercy in X or in Y. Find them. I guess this is a call.
So, just one thing before I mute myself. So I think the fundamental point here is, as both of you were saying, turning the knob, right, towards looking for mercy, I guess. Is the act or process of turning the knob making the intention to do so?
Or opening up yourself to try to read the mercy in the existence. Just to give an example, a practical example.
And presupposing, I guess, that there must be mercy in what I am facing.
Already in me, let's say you are thirsty. Mm-hmm. And when you are super thirsty, you already seek for water in the existence. Because your need says that there must be water somewhere or I'm going to die. It better exist somewhere, you would say. And you wouldn't say that, oh, no, I cannot make wishful thinking, maybe there's no water, I'm going to sit here, this doesn't work, right? If you are dying from thirst, you say that, and let's say you are thrown into a new planet, and you are dying from thirst. Mm-hmm. You say that, I have to find water somewhere, otherwise I'm going to die. So, deep inside, as I am human, I am made to die in the thirst of mercy. This is how I am. I am in need of mercy. This is why when somebody yells at us, we feel very bad. Why? Human is made to receive mercy. I mean, we are in need of mercy. But due to our secular training, where there is no mercy, mention of mercy, it is very much technical. And reading the existence, it is very dry. I mean, this is the materialist perspective, or including philosophy. I didn't take any such taste. I didn't read too much of philosophy, but the philosophical explanations that I read have been very dry, including Kalam explanations. So trying to explain the existence of the creator, existence of this or that, the explanations are being very dry. so some elements of human is being isolated from the case. But what I see in here is human has this very deep need for mercy. And this, if you take this out of the picture, it's going to be very hard to get the water, which is hidden under the earth. So the many treasuries of mercy are hidden under the earth. And I can just 3-4 names now comes to my mind with whom we had those discussions. And deliberately, I initially avoided talking about this emotional parts because it's not cool. I mean, in scientific setup, you shouldn't include any sort of emotions. You need to be very much technical, very much objective, in the sense that objective means the things that you put into lab. So since mercy, feeling of mercy, I mean, this is very subjective, they would say, and dismissed. In order not to be dismissed with this attitude, I was going with very much technical stuff. And then, in order to make it bulletproof, proof of existence of God, for example. But later on, what I realized is, with those people, I am getting pushed back as I keep making explanations with this very technical and dry language. Because there's a rock, and me trying to attack them, or trying to drill them with lack of mercy was not helping at all. I was not utilizing laws of mercy really in that approach. But when in one of the cases it was death, in another case it was somebody who was mentioning mercy, in another case the person was a Christian and his own faith was all about mercy, when we put this discussion of technical aside and he started talking about Christianity, I looked at, he has no proof whatsoever, super love of God, and he's very happy with it. And I say that, well, I should have approached this person from that door because his human side is still alive when it comes to mercy. And I saw a lot of other examples in that respect, saying that, and also in my case, because as I try to convince myself for existence of hereafter, existence of God, whatever my very central questions, if I discard this mercy aspect and try to explain it with tangible, quote-unquote tangible things like, particles, this and that exclusively, it's been very hard for me to really feel it, let me put it this way. So this is why I would say, and this is the distinction actually I see in Nursi's approach, because he is revisiting the Kalam arguments. But when he, for example, talks about the proofs of contingency, like in Kalam Hudus proofs, he's adding this flavor into it. He's not technically going to, as the previous classical Kalam scholars talked about them, but he is adding those aspects into it. And now that I am seeing this verse, it makes perfect sense. Because as a human, mercy is a requirement as much as water. So I cannot really discard this aspect of human and try to engage with it, including myself. When I'm trying to learn about my creator from the existence, I should not and cannot discard the mercy that is being manifest in a flower. And this is why I guess Nursi keeps giving examples from seeds, flowers, and babies. Because this is where you observe this mercy, and it's such a lovely feeling that first time they experience, everybody has it. And I don't need to explain how you feel when you see your brother's son. You know what it means to feel mercy. You know that it exists. You know that it is real. So then we can build argument on top of that. So what is the point of going with this, our scientific background, and saying that, no, let's go as dry as rock, as dry as a staff. So I guess this is what might be understood from abiding by the laws of mercy.
Yeah, I think this is really important. I think Brother Asim, you had a comment? Please go ahead.
No, thank you. So I was reflecting on what Yusuf was saying about his explanation, very beautiful, mashallah, about the laws of mercy. So even if as a human being, regardless of what our belief system or what our faith is, we always are looking to experience or enjoy ourselves, even with the the technological innovations or what. Doesn't matter really, whatever you can take benefit from it, but everybody kind of benefits from it. And most of the, all these advancements right now, nobody, is looking from the view of that this is a mercy that I am getting, or this enjoyment or this profit I'm getting is really for me to benefit from mercy and any attributes or qualities. But definitely there is a need for the human to have that. So, but for us, the readers who are really seeing how the author is presenting this, right, when he says, that look at this, these progress or these advancements are something that is concealed, or you're discovering these are laws of my mercy. So they are not just there randomly happening, or they're not something that was just placed, as some scientists would call it, that they discovered it, and that's it goes by their names as being the discoverer. But this is something that has been placed there by some conscious being. That's why the laws of my mercy comes into play. And another thing that Nur Alim mentioned about, like something he said about these simple tools, and I know Aisha Nur, you gave an example of turning the knob, and I thought, like, just like a simple tool, what that means. How can you compare like a staff with what the gushing of water comes from it, right? Just a little something made out of wood, and then what you get is like springs. And before I was making the comment that springs denotes to me like something which is flowing, and it's not stagnant, it's not something there just for a time being, but it's like a continuous flow, like water flowing. That is, as the author says, like, for me it means like mercy upon mercy just flowing through. And all you need is like a simple tool. You don't need to do much with it. There's nothing, like, we don't have to build any sophisticated systems or machines to find out mercy, but like the smallest simple tools that is out there, and we use that, and lo and behold, like what you experience are whatever results you see that is not a result of whatever the tool that you were using, or something that belongs to the earth or Mother Nature, but that is something that has been placed specifically and very consciously by the one who set up the whole entire universe. Just a simple tool was like a very powerful word that, I said, like, wow, from a simple tool, one can find out what this, go to the infinite part of seeing the mercy of what it entails. Thank you.
Thank you, Awesome, for sharing. Would anyone else like to say anything at this point? Maybe those who haven't spoken yet? Okay, well, feel free to add at any point, inshallah. Yeah, so I think it, for me, it comes to first really just reflecting on my condition and recognizing this need for mercy that I inherently have. Because if I don't recognize that thirst, I don't recognize that need for mercy, then I can't turn, to use Brother Yusuf's point again, turn the knob towards it in my interactions in the universe and creation. Yeah, so I don't have much else to say at this point, unless anyone here does.
One sentence maybe is related to what you just said, the last sentence. He says, you may find the subtlest effulgence of mercy, the water of life, with a staff. In which case, come on, work and find it. So looking for mercy or looking for laws of mercy, I guess the thing is we should work and try to find it. We should, put an effort on it. The emphasis here is not that you should work hard, you should, consume energy or whatever. No, you should put yourself in. So this is the point. Like, you should realize, as Yusuf was saying, you should realize how needy you are of mercy. You should realize the value of things that you have. You should, like, when you look at the water, when it is raining, if you just say, oh, damn, my clothes are wet now, right? You're just discarding the value. You're just not working. You're not trying to find anything out of it. But starting with the assumption that something is being taken away, then yes, it is really hard to find the laws of mercy. But when you put yourself in it, when you try to see the value given to you in everything, like I have a shirt which is unbelievable. Like, this was a plant. And through all these processes, which made by some, machines, which by themselves already amazing, which takes plants and puts on me so that I am covered and I am protected. On top of, being, looking good or whatever. The shirt, which has a color, which another amazing thing. Like how you can give a color to anything. When you put yourself in it, like when you realize that I can see the color of it, I can touch it, I can feel it, it can protect me, the simple shirt becomes an effulgence of the mercy for you. But you should work, you should find it.
And also, we can say, take responsibility. All your equipments that has been given to you, use them and to find the truth. I think the main point here is take responsibility. It's, I am here. Yes, I am here, and I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna find the truth. This is the kind of encouragement, and also as an individual, and then you raise your voice of your spirituality says, I am going to take responsibility, and then I'm gonna find you. That is, I think, the powerful word I can take from this last couple words: work and find it. This is my observation. I don't want to use big words more.
So, and also this discussion makes me think of, when I think of the situations in my life that I see as problems or sources of stress, whether that be in relation to my responsibilities as a student or my relationships with those that I love, I can, at least for myself, come to perceive these supposed problems not only as the tools to mercy, but as mercy themselves. Because anything that leads me to mercy is a mercy itself as well. Maybe going back to the mercy upon mercy. So, whether I'm sick or I have some deadline or I have some misunderstanding, all of those things that I want to rid myself of are also manifestations of mercy, because if I turn again maybe the knob, they will bring me to experiencing another layer of my Creator's mercy. I mean, those are more dramatic examples. I think maybe the more difficult job is to be able to pursue that mercy in things as, I guess, seemingly mundane as colorful shirts or couches or something. But I think for me, at least, the things that are blatantly, those are the most obvious, I guess. points of departure I can utilize. Yeah. So, would anyone else like to say anything? Any insights? Any questions? Our conversation has been, I think the paragraph's emphasis is really on mercy, but if you have any questions on any parts that we've read so far that you'd like to bring up, please do so.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for each and every comment. And I would like to talk about a point that the author is mentioning here, the trust. He says, oh man, I put in the hand of one of my servants who trusted in me. Following the points that Yusuf was making, that then actually whenever I acknowledge my need truly, I attempt to get a response to it. The author, after reading and hearing these comments, all the attempts made to reach a response to our needs, actually they become a result of trust in the giver of that need. So instead of using the language, it's not a language issue definitely, but I would like to make it short, that the achievement of this, or the achievement of technology, or achievement of modern understanding of this world, all the achievements actually boil down to the trust to the giver of that need. Otherwise, we don't really take any attempt towards our need. This is something got my attention. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Any comments on that? Points of elaboration? Online or for those physically here? No. Yeah.
How many minutes?
Yeah.
How many minutes do we have?
Yeah, about
25.
We have 25 minutes.
Perfect. Usually it is common to say that in our culture, when you mention that the finding truth, we usually point prophets. They say, oh yeah, we cannot be prophet. We cannot be prophet. They can find the truth, they can find him, but we cannot find it. In this example, when prophet, and I just go back to the word, it says, strike the rock with your staff, and his methodology to find the truth, we can apply to other human being, then we can reach the point that prophet reached. That means to find the truth. This is the kind of my other observation we can get. That means we do not have any excuses to find the truth. We can use the same methodology to find him and hope find the truth. And this is my humble opinion. I don't know, what do you think?
Any thoughts, comments on that? I think everyone's just kind of reflecting and thinking over everyone's insights thus far. They've all been very helpful to me, so thank you, and please continue doing so. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think if there aren't further questions or comments, we can move on. Just to, I guess, recap certain things that struck out to me thus far in our discussion. When reading or it seems like the approach to understanding this verse is to, one, be able to deeply reflect and tried to understand what things like water mean to me on an individual level, right? Because that will shape and bring the weight to the implications imbued in what I perceive as my creators telling to me or speaking to me, and also that this is necessary for me to understand the significance of what is being communicated to me. Secondly, perhaps just trying to shift the perspective with which I am approaching creation, experiences, interactions, seeking the laws of mercy in them. In seeking the laws of mercy, I first need to approach the existing things with the feelings, the emotions, the state of being that I find myself. I can't separate that or isolate that from my interaction with it, or else, in which case, I will just face a simple, dry, rough rock that grants me no fruits, whether it be water or anything else. And I also need to feel that too, I think. I need to be able to experience the dryness, the lack of satisfaction in one approach, to be able to appreciate and seek out the need to look at things through, with the intention to seek mercy. I need to feel the need for mercy and see how that showcases in the different facets of my existence. So in that respect, I am in need of emotionally interacting with the world around me, emotionally interacting with flowers and trees and turtles and rivers and airplanes and drills, as well as, other people and individuals and animals and whatnot, rather than, trying to be impartial or not bring myself into the equation. Because, the state that I find myself existing in, it's, there's a reality of my, to my interaction, to the feelings, to the emotions that I feel am given when confronting these various things. And so I think that's, very beautiful in that making this intention and exerting the effort in seeking out the laws of mercy. And I think that when this is the case, that, hopefully trying to internalize it for myself first and foremost, that it really just paints all of creation, all of my experiences with this very lovely color that I may not have experienced beforehand, and shapes and reframes the ways that I approach everything around me. Yeah, so that's, those are just some thoughts that I've had at this point. I'm just going to ask again if anyone has comments or questions. And if not, we can continue thinking about these points. And even though we only have about 20 minutes, we can at least maybe read with this mindset, I feel, because I don't think it's just applicable in this instance, but something that can be utilized as a framework of understanding for other matters as well. We can continue reading. So yeah, any questions, comments, revelations you'd like to share? Personal revelations?
Well, it's just one small stuff, like to make all these discussions, which are very valuable, like a practical. I guess one suggestion would be, like, I guess we should use our staffs with everything in our life. Like, don't leave any single item in your life which is not hit by your staff. Like when you're talking to your friends, just imagine, just think about the Creator who gives you, specifically to you, these lovely friends. Just think about it for a second. hit your friends with your staff. And let the water of life, not the blood, come out of them.
Sounds like a justification for violence, but yeah.
Speaking metaphorically, of course. But seriously, like, hit everything with your staff. When you're eating your food, hit it.
Can we hit our boss?
Hit your boss with your staff. And see the mercy there. I mean, how else would you, can you explain? Like, I am blessed with the sound, the voice of awesome. This is blessing, this is mercy to what? Not the mercy, but what? Like, I cannot imagine otherwise. I'm sitting here and awesome with his beautiful voice speaking to me, just for me. It is being created in front of me. I'm surrounded by my friends. I'm wearing my shirt, again, the same shirt. Hit your shirt with your stuff and see the life, see the mercy coming out of it. When you look at your husband, see the beauty there. The Creator giving him for you. Or your cat. The Creator giving your cat to you. Don't let anything in your life not being hit with your staff. Hit everything.
I think...
including drilling machines.
Certainly, yeah. I think Brother Awesome definitely then needs to speak more often for the sake of experiencing mercy for his sake.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, just to add, and maybe to, not to counter it, but just to add alongside it, like, when this discussion ends and I head out, I'm probably not going to hit everything with my staff. I can make the intention to do so, but on a very practical level, just the amount of, I don't know how to better express brain power, it's so overwhelming, like overwhelming, not in a bad sense, but in that I feel my vulnerability, my weakness or neediness in even being able to do that. Like, I am in need of even expressing my need and realizing my need in all facets of my existence. And so perhaps that's another means staff that I can hit, that need or inability to live up to or internalize accordingly to the heights that I want to. So that's definitely, I think, the aim. But, like, I struggle with it enormously, and sometimes it's helpful to me to, break it down and focus in on specific things. But I think certainly to make the intention to do that means to at least try to utilize everything as an exercise in further cultivating that sense of awareness and adeptness with the staff. I think my lack of ability in being able to do so, I think, is beautiful as well in showcasing me just another thing I need to hit a staff with. Yeah, thank you. All right. Was that a hand, Brother Yusuf? No? Are you sure? Okay. Do you guys have anything you'd like to say? No? Okay.
Anshu, you wanted to say something? Oh, okay. Sometimes she wants one.
Okay. Anyone from online who would like to be other means of manifestations of mercy? I mean, that's something big to live up to. If not, I'm just going to read the next paragraph. Okay, so I'm going to read them. Inshallah. Unless, actually, who would like to read the next paragraph? I'll just wait until someone volunteers to do so, inshallah.
I can read, inshallah. And for example, I shall heal the blind and the leper, and I shall quicken the dead by God's leave. Quran chapter 3, verse 49. which concerns a miracle of Jesus, peace be upon him. So this is this concerns a miracle of Jesus, peace be upon him. Just as the Quran explicitly urges man to follow Jesus, peace be upon him, high morals, so it allusively encourages him towards the elevated art and dominical medicine of which Jesus was the master. The verse indicates the following: remedies may be found for even the most chronic ills, in which case, O man, O calamity-afflicted sons of Adam, don't despair. Whatever the ill, its cure is possible. Search for it and you will find it. It is even possible to give a temporary tinge of life to death. And in meaning, Almighty God is saying through the figurative tongue of this verse, O man, I gave 2 gifts to one of my servants who abandoned the world for me. O man, I gave 2 gifts to one of my servants who abandoned the world for me. One was the remedy for spiritual ills, and the other the cure for physical sicknesses. Moribund hearts were raised to life through the light of guidance, and sick people who were as though dead found health through his bring and cure. You too may find the cure for every ill in the I'm sorry, can somebody else do that? I have something else. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, so I'll finish reading, inshallah. So, moribund hearts will, and I think that means dead hearts, were raised to life through the light of guidance, and sick people who were as though dead found health through his breath and cure. Just a quick question. When it says his breath, is it talking about Jesus, right?
Yeah, but that's the story, right?
Right, okay, yeah. Who are as though dead found health through his breath and cure. You too may find a cure for every ill in the pharmacy of my wisdom. You too may find a cure for every ill, for every sickness in the pharmacy of my wisdom. Work to find it. If you seek, you will certainly find. Thus, this verse traces the limit which is far ahead of man's present progress in medicine. It hints at it and urges him towards it.
The sentence you just read, work to find it. If you seek, you will certainly find. And it goes back to your last comment about how hard it is, the mental power it requires, and so on. He says, no, it's so easy. If you seek, you will certainly find.
Well, I have to confirm his claim. That's a claim. I mean, I can't take Nursi's word for it. Maybe his seeking has been more successful than mine, so I have to try. You can't use authority like that. But yeah, I think I feel like I need to reread the paragraph again, but just especially towards the end of it, I find the sentence, you too may find a cure for every ill in the pharmacy of my wisdom. And for every illness, for every sickness, I think of, existential sicknesses and the sicknesses that manifest in the form of my anxieties and my problems. And I think it's just very beautiful to know, like, his pharmacy, the pharmacy of my creator, the pharmacy of the one who knows me, who knows these problems, who's not running a pharmaceutical industry against me. I think that's really lovely. And definitely, that if I seek it, I will find it. That's definitely encouraging. It's encouraging. And I think that, let me go through certain parts of it again. So here it was saying the verse towards the top of it, the verse indicates the following: remedies may be found for even the most chronic illnesses. In which case, O man, O calamity afflicted sons of Adam. So am I calamity afflicted? Yeah, I mean, in many ways I can consider that. Don't despair. And that also shows, I think, my tendency to despair when I see calamities afflict me. Don't despair. Whatever the illness, its cure is possible. Whatever the illness, its cure is possible. Search for it and you will find it. It is even possible to give a temporary tinge of life to death. I'm not sure what it means there. I mean, I understand that it may be kind of alluding to, I don't know, actually I don't know what it's alluding to.
In the narration, as far as I know, Jesus, peace be upon him, resurrects at death.
Right.
For a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
But what does it mean for me? Is it able to give life to the parts of myself that may be dead or untouched, maybe?
I guess life is full of things, our personal lives, full of things that we take as death. We say, no, nothing can come out of it. This is just dead, or this is just dead end. And he says, don't be despair. Where you see death, you can also find life.
Why temporary?
I guess, I don't know, like possibly because of the oppositeness of these two concepts.
I think we can again, like the previous paragraph, in this paragraph, Nursi is reading the same verse twice. For the first part, I find it for myself easier to read it as he is literally speaking for the medicine part of the verse. He's saying that you can find remedies like physical, pharmaceutical remedies for any problem, or remedies for any of your problems, not necessarily pharmaceutical, but this is existing in the existence. So don't worry, study, work, find it. So the first paragraph can be read like this, and when it comes to death, like this vegetative state, yeah, we observe that people are having 1 year, 2 year vegetative state lives in the hospitals. So medicine comes to here, and this verse can be pointing to that. But then in the second part of the paragraph, he now says that the meaning of these signs, because in the first one he said the verse indicates the following, and in the second part of the paragraph he says in meaning, and in meaning that God is saying through the figurative tone of this verse. So now he is reading into this literal sense of reading it. In there he now talks about hearts being totally resurrected, not partially, but totally being resurrected. Dead hearts, which are dead with unbelief, not able to, there's no sign of life for this heart. Just trying to live the moment. I guess a person who is trying to satisfy himself by living the moment is a dead heart, sort of. Because practically this person is living a moment, and the moment, half of the moment is dead already. Right at the time you start experiencing the moment, half of it is already dead. What sort of life you can talk about in such a case? So such a person can be resurrected with the belief that is being breathed by the Jesus or the prophets. The message of prophets are really breathing in this life to such dead hearts. So it's the second half of the paragraph, then again, like we did for the previous one. Read, trying to understand the figurative meaning in this first half of the paragraph, which can be read more literally.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. And, just the point that you were making about how, I don't know if I understood it correctly, but I got something from it about how, in a moment, like you were saying half the moment is dead already, right? Or, I don't know, it made me think of, maybe that is what you were saying. Like if I interact with something and I just interact with it in terms of without looking to the side of it that carries meaning, then both that moment is dead and that thing may die or go away in its transient state. But through the light of guidance, through the message of the prophets, I can extract an eternity from that. I can eternally make that moment alive for me. Yeah.
So otherwise, practically, this, although the man is living the moment, it reminds me of a person in the middle of the sea trying to sit on a small wood piece. You cannot move anywhere. If you move, you are going to fall into the water. Are you really alive in such a moment? I mean, because left is sea, right is sea, everywhere is sea. Even if you move a little bit, the wood is going to just turn and you're going to be upside down into the water. So a person living just in the moment, there's no past, no future. And the joy that you experience just getting thrown into the past, future is dark. So what sort of a joy you would expect? This man is already dead. I mean, halfway through dead. The only thing is left as the moment, which is constantly dying. So this is why in such a mindset, if a person is living the moment only, then you cannot really talk about real life there anyways. And although this is what the civilization is calling as life, night life, whatever, but it's not really life, it's death. Even torture.
سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. الفاتحة.